A lot of agents complain to me about not getting leads from social media. And so I did a study. And out of the 54 agents I surveyed, 40 of them said that they never or rarely use a lead magnet, which then made me think, how can you expect to get leads from social media if you're not offering anything to get leads? So in this video, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about the common mistakes that agents are making. I'm going to cover the MOFIR, right? What that is, if you're not familiar with it, and why it doesn't work as well as it used to, or as well as people think it may. And then I'm going to talk about a different strategy, a strategy that I'm using for how I'm actually converting people on social media from viewers into subscribers on my email list and eventually customers. So let's get right into it. So I think it's important to start off this video by describing what is a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is essentially something that you offer in exchange for something. Usually in the world of digital marketing, right? A lead magnet is usually something free that you give away in exchange for someone's contact information. For example, hey, get my free AI starter kit, right? And then I'll give you my starter kit with my top prompts, and then you'll give me your email and first name, right? Or something like that. Or you'll give me your name, email, number, or you give me just your full name, email. But it's something that you offer in exchange for usually someone's contact information. Now, a lot of people, based on my survey, aren't even using this at all, right? They're not using a lead magnet at all. And so I'm going to talk about why a lead magnet is essential to your business. So I had a friend. She was a realtor, and now she had a huge, huge, not following, but business. She had a huge business, MREA, doing really good numbers. And one day, she made a big announcement and started sending out friend requests from a new group, a new Facebook profile. And I was like, I'm already friends with her. What's going on here? Turns out she was hacked on social media, and she spent like weeks, months trying to go back and forth with Meta, only to never get her account. And I've heard so many stories like that of people who have spent so much time building a following or building a database or building a clientele on social media only for one day for them to click the wrong link accidentally, or go on a website, and next thing you know, their account gets hacked and they're not able to access it ever again, and they have to start over from scratch. And that's the problem with a lot of people nowadays, is that they're relying on social media, but they don't understand the difference between renting and owning. And it's funny because a lot of the times realtors are the one telling you about renting or owning. But let me give you a different meaning of what those two words mean, right? Renting and owning, not a property, renting and owning your audience. A lot of agents are renting their audience and they don't even realize it. And it's funny because they talk so much about the benefits of home ownership, but there's a lot of benefits to audience ownership. And when you're using social media, you're at the mercy of whatever platform, whatever algorithm that you're using. You have no control. And so let's say you have 1,000 followers and you post a video. Maybe 30% actually get the video in front of them. And I worded it like that on purpose. Like, I didn't say 30% watched it. I said 30% get the video put in front of them. And then they have to decide for themselves whether or not they want to watch it. And usually, the more followers you have, the lower the engagement rate in terms of a percentage of total followers. The more that goes down. And so a lot of people are using these social media platforms trying to build these massive audience, and they're just one wrong link click away from it all coming tumbling down, which is why it's so important to build your own list, to have your own subscribers, right? The reason why you want that is if you have your own email list, your own database, let's say in a CRM somewhere safe, or even in a spreadsheet of some sort, it doesn't matter how many times you get hacked. It doesn't matter how many times you lose access to your profile. It doesn't matter how many times you forget your password, you can't log in. If you have your own email list, if you own your audience, you'll forever be able to market to them, meaning you'll forever be able to stay top of mind, meaning you're going to be a lot more likely to actually convert people into clients. Again, if you're renting, you're going to be at the mercy of the social media platform. Right now, I have 2,511 active subscribers on my email list. Right now, is it crazy huge in comparison to some of these other digital marketers? No. But 2,500 people, go speak in front of that many people and tell me how many that, how if that's a lot of people or not, right? I have 2,500 people that when I send out an email, I know it gets delivered to all their inboxes. Now, some may get sent to spam, some may get sent to promotion, some may get sent to their home inbox, but I know it got sent, it got delivered to them. Now, whether they choose to open it, it's another story. Fortunately, I have pretty decent open rates, right? I have anywhere from 40 to 50% open rate on pretty much most of my weekly newsletters, if not all, right? And I've been doing that for years now. So I know at the very least, 2,500 people getting sent my email, all 2,500 are getting them, and roughly 1,250 are actually opening it. So that's 1,000 people every single week that I know is getting my stuff easily. And that's the benefit of owning your audience. You think of a lot of these billion-dollar platforms. Yeah, they have, social media presence, but like go sign in for those of you who are men are watching, or for those of you ladies, go on Macy's, right, and sign up, for their email list, or go to Fashion Nova. Right, go to one of these clothing stores, right, or one of these perfume shops, or makeup, or Ulta, Sephora. Go put your email in. Go into Bed Bath & Beyond and put your email in and see how many emails you start getting. There's a reason why all the billion-dollar companies, all the big corporations are all in on email marketing and not social media. It's because emails is where we're trained to buy, right? On social media, we're programmed to scroll and keep on swiping, versus on email, that's where the money is at. So you can keep trying to build your audience on social media. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying find a way to get them off of social media and onto your list so you can continue providing value. You can continue marketing to them, and eventually turn them into a paying client, or turn them into not a client, right? Sometimes you don't want to work with everybody. So sometimes you got to push people away, but nevertheless, you have to be able to make that decision. You can't be at the mercy of the algorithm forever. So the last benefit of owning your audience versus renting your audience is the whole idea of staying top of mind. I want to hit that really quickly, a little bit harder. When I got into real estate, one of the first things I heard about was like smart plans, right? And the smart plan is just like pretty much like some sort of follow-up system. And that consists of usually call, text, email, cards, DMs, whatever. Doesn't matter what it consists of, but it's just some sort of follow-up method. Now, one of the big ones at the brokerage I used to be at was the 36 touch campaign. People would, be so happy, like, yeah, I just built out my 36 touch. It took me so much time. Well, if you're only getting 36 touches out of the year, right? And let's say I decide to do one weekly newsletter. Well, I know for a fact my newsletter is going to get delivered to their inbox as long as they don't unsubscribe and as long as they don't block me or anything like that, right? Just from sending one weekly newsletter, I now have a 52 touch program, right? Just off of newsletters. Now, let's add on the fact that I'm also creating content, right? So, like, I have a weekly YouTube video that I'm doing that I'm sending out to my list, right? So now that's 2 touches, right? That's 2 touches. Then let's say they see my clips on like IG or TikTok or Facebook or, one of the other platforms. Now that's another touch. I'm posting 2 clips a day currently. I plan on ramp that up a little bit more, but 2 clips a day where they're now going to be able to see me. And then in the future, right, I'm going to be eventually running ads on Meta. So like while you're sitting here doing a 36 touch campaign, people who are slightly above average like myself, right, are doing 2, 3, 4 times that amount easily, right? And then like the super crazy high level digital marketers, right? I'm not there yet, but the super high level digital marketers, you can't get away from them. They're in your email, they're in your podcast feed, they're in your social media feed, they're in your YouTube feed, they're on they're texting you with SMS campaigns, they're giving you calls, right? They're literally everywhere. They're omnipresent. So if you just have a 36 touch campaign, right, because you're relying on old methods versus like owning your audience, then you can market to them infinitely. And again, as long as you're providing value, most people won't mind, right? But it's going to be way better for you to stay top of mind. And because most people hire only the first or second realtor that they interview, right, you're going to put yourself at an extremely high competitive edge, right? You're going to have a huge advantage over the rest of the competition just because you are inescapable in a way. So that's why it is so important to have a lead magnet, because a lead magnet takes someone from social media into your list, which then you can reach out to them as many different ways as infinitely as possible. So that's why lead magnets are so important. Now, let me talk about some common mistakes that most agents have. So the first mistake is not having one at all. Right? Not having one at all. So this is a horrible idea, because if you're going to get a cold stranger that doesn't know you, doesn't have any rapport built with you — remember, people do business with people like, know, and trust. If you have a stranger, cold traffic, doesn't like, know, and trust you, and you're over there telling, hey, you should work with me, there has to be something in between that. You can't just get married on the first date. You have to, court a little bit. Hey, here's a little bit of value here. Hey, here's a little bit of value here. Hey, here's an extra thing, a resource that you need. Hey, here's an extra PDF. Here's an extra book. There has to be something in between so people can kind of gauge you out a little bit. Get a little bit of value, right? You get their contact information. It's a win-win. And you guys can see if you guys want to continue working with each other or not, right? But most agents don't have one at all. But then what a lot of agents do, and which is why they're not getting leads, is they'll post like a templated graphic, maybe like a open house or interested in buying and selling, call me, right? And on these templated graphics, maybe a just listed graphic or some sort of, you know what I mean, like, the Canva graphics that most agents are doing, just slapping their headshot on. They'll put like, a phone number, an email, and a website link on the post or the photo or whatever. And let me share why that's a horrible idea. One, you're giving 3 options, right? You're giving people 3 options. The more options, the more decision fatigue people are going to have, and the less likely they are to make an actual decision. What is decision fatigue? People get tired from deciding stuff all day, right? They already got to decide what outfit they got to put to work. They got to decide to get ready. They got to decide to put all their clothes on and do all this stuff. They got to on the road, right? They're deciding which to turn and where to turn in all these different cars. And at their work, they're deciding all the time, right? People are constantly making thousands and thousands and thousands of small, like, micro decisions every single day. And when they get on social media, it's usually to take a break. And now they got to sit here and take a multiple choice test, right? Do I call them? Do I email them? And do I text them? Right? They don't want to do that. So you have 3 call to action, which is already no, bad practice. The second reason why this is a bad idea, I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you been on social media, watching videos randomly, and you see a video or a post or a photo or whatever that says, call, email, or come to my website, and you just dropped everything that you were doing, put out your laptop and went on their website, or dropped everything that you were doing and put out your phone pad and freaking dialed up their number? Right? When's the last time that ever happened? If you're being honest with yourself, probably never. So you're giving them a interruption, and you're expecting them to keep on, let the interruption take place and stop what they're doing to reach out to you. Right? If they're on social media to scroll, they're on social media to scroll, right? Why are you taking them off the platform and making more work for them, making them go through more hoops, right? Especially if they haven't met you yet. That's another no-no. And the third reason why it's a no-no, you got to think about these social media platforms. All of them are free. Instagram, free. Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, right? All of them are free to use. And a lot of their revenue comes from ads and being able to provide ads in front, or place ads in front of viewers. And people pay money to get their ads placed in front of the right viewers. And that's a big chunk of revenue. So when you think about it, if someone's scrolling on social media and they see your post where it says, call me or email me or go to my website, whatever, and they leave, let's say, Instagram to go call you, the platform doesn't see that as, oh my goodness, look at John's content. It's so amazing. Every time someone watches his video, they leave the platform and they go give him a call, right? They don't think of it like that. They think of it as, oh my goodness, every time they watch John's video, they leave Instagram. He must suck. Like, why would we ever recommend John's content if every time someone watches it, they leave our platform? And the number one thing platforms want to do is keep you on them. So if you have a call to action, right, and you're taking people away from the platform, you're pretty much going directly against what the social media platforms are incentivizing for. So now you're fighting an uphill battle. So that's another reason why it's a bad idea. So stop putting call, website, email, text me, whatever, on the actual post itself. That's a bad idea. That's not going to be a great way to convert leads. Another thing that agents do is that they'll have like flyers or posts with QR codes on them. And it's literally this one makes no sense to me. Why on earth will you have a QR code on a post and people are usually scrolling on their phones? You can't scan a QR code with your laptop from last time I checked, right? So you're telling me someone's going to have two phones just to scan your QR code, right? And even if they did have two phones, the likelihood that they're going to do that is slim to none. Probably none, right? So you're putting your QR code in your flyer, not realizing most people are watching social media on their phone anyways, and if they scan the QR code with their phone, but their phone's already in hand using it for social media, they won't be able to scan your QR code. So now you're not getting anyone to opt into whatever the thing you're doing. And it could be like, let's say, a class or a workshop, a seminar, whatever. It could be something really valuable. When people are already using social media on their mobile phone, they can't magically pop up a new mobile phone and scan the QR code. And even if they did have an extra one, again, they're most likely not going to do that. So stop posting QR codes to convert into leads, right? Those are just some common mistakes. Now, I want to talk about probably the most popular phrase, or one of the most popular phrases in real estate when it comes to the world of lead magnets, right? A MOFIR. Now, if you haven't heard this word before, it stands for make offer for immediate response, right? So I've always felt a way about this, because if you think about it, make offer for immediate response. An immediate response can be an immediate yes, or it can be an immediate no. So yes, it's better than doing nothing, but you can also get an immediate no from people. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want an immediate no from anybody? That just closes the conversation. So if you make an offer for immediate response and you get an immediate no, you're hurting yourself. So let me talk about the pros and cons. Again, it's not all bad. So here's what most agents do. They usually do one of two things when it comes to a MOFIR. They do a home buyer seller guide, usually some sort of PDF. The pros of that is you get to give people some sort of like roadmap. People like knowing what the process is. People like knowing what they're getting themselves into. So by having this sort of guide, people can, again, see that process firsthand. Well, if you do an ebook, then it's like virtual. But if you do it and pass it in person, it's tangible. It's something that they can hold and like always go back to, right? But here's some of the cons. Not everyone likes to read, right? So if you have like a virtual buyer seller guide, not everyone is going to want to sit there and read 20, 30, 40 pages, right? And now you could say, oh, if they can't read 30, 40 pages, well, then they're not serious. But that's a lie, because people learn differently. So you're forcing someone to learn against their learning style, right? On top of that, people are busy. Why can't you concise it down for them? It's your job as the professional, right? Another con with the home buyer seller guide is you can find guides all over the internet. Zillow has guides. Realtor.com has guides. Homes.com, Apartments.com, all these places have guides already. Every other agent has guides, and most agents, right, this kind of goes in with the third con, they're just copying and pasting the same buyer seller guide that their brokerage provided for them and just swapping out the photos and swapping out some of the market stats in the cities, right? So you're literally templatizing your buyer seller guide, so it looks just like everyone else's. It has the same branding as everyone else in your company, right? And it has the same exact information minus a key ports, like with your contact info and maybe the specific cities that you work in. But essentially, it's the same thing that everyone else is doing. And if you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same results that everyone else is getting. And most agents aren't getting any leads from social media. So those are some pros and cons of buyer seller guide. Let's talk about the next most popular one is the home equity analysis. Now, there's a lot of pros to this because there are so many things that people are unaware of. One of them being how much their home is actually worth. Now, the biggest con for offering a home equity analysis is that most people are going with the Zestimate. Now, you and I both know that Zestimates aren't as accurate, but here's the cold hard truth. Eventually, they will be more accurate, especially as AI gets their hands on more and more data. Zillow and ChatGPT are like this, right? They're besties, bestie westies. So as AI becomes more popular, and it already is, Zillow's already investing tons and tons and tons of money on ChatGPT's the open API. Like they're using the voice model, they're using the text model. Like AI and ChatGPT specifically is going to be running through Zillow. It's going to be able, quote unquote, This is what the head of AI at Zillow said. They want to make searching for a home as easy and simple as talking to a friend. I paraphrase a little bit, sorry, but there's a ChatGPT article that released in, I believe, August or September of 2025, where the new voice speech model was released, and the head of AI, Josh, or whatever his last name is, was quoted on the front page of that article. So Zillow and ChatGPT are in cahoots, and again, most people are using their Zestimates, and now if you're offering a home equity analysis, now you have to convince them why Zillow is wrong, and so now it's an uphill battle from the start. So you have to convince them, why this billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar corporation actually gave you something wrong. And then you have to, if they have a friend that uses Zillow to sell their home, as estimate to sell their home, they'll say, but Joe Schmo did it and he sold his home just fine. And so like there's so much fighting that you have to do just to get them to see things from your perspective. Now, again, some people maybe say, okay, I'd love to get your perspective as well. Cool. But again, I want you to keep an eye out for that. So here's what I do instead. What's better than MOFIR? I want you to replace the word MOFIR, make offer for immediate response. I want you to replace that acronym with the new acronym MIFGE, 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 most incredible free gift ever. So this one, there's so much to unpack here. What's the most incredible free gift ever idea? And what's like, how do you use this acronym, at least the thought process behind this acronym, to get more leads? I want you to think, let's say I had a free lottery ticket, right? And I said, hey, I have a free Powerball winning ticket. All you have to do is put in your name, number, and email, and you can automatically be entered for a raffle to win this lottery ticket, right? Now, some people may be skeptical, so for the purpose of this example, let's say it was guaranteed, like the government backed my raffle. Like this is 100% guaranteed to win the $100 million Powerball, whatever, however much it is, $1 billion Powerball. The amount of people that I would be able to convert would be legendary. I'd probably have the most successful marketing campaign in the history of history, right? Like that would be a no-brainer. That would be the most incredible free gift ever. Like what would you do with $1 billion? Like, and all you have to do is put your name, number, email, and you can be entered in a raffle. Why not, right? It's cheaper than getting a scratch off. Right? For $0, you can potentially win $1 billion. That is like infinite ROI right there. So when you're thinking about something like that, you want to think about like, what is something I can offer that would be so valuable that my dream clients, my ideal target audience, would like be foaming out the mouth for, right? What is something that I can give away for free? Now, there's some things that you want to think through, like, is this something that I could actually like realistically do? Like, for example, that Powerball idea, I can't realistically do that. It would be a great idea though. I would get tons of leads, but there's that. And the second thing I want you to think about is like, again, heavy emphasis on like, what would my target audience be foaming at the mouth for, right? Because you can get the most incredible free gift ever. Let's say you have a raffle, right, to enter a free iPhone, right? And then you get a bunch of people to apply, but they're only in it for the iPhone. They're not actually looking to buy, sell, or invest. You just got a ton of leads. You just got a ton of contact information. And now you could say, any lead's a good lead if you follow up long enough. There's some truth in that. But like, if all your leads take 30 years to warm up, it's going to be hard to stay in business in between now and then, right? Especially if that's your only leads that you're getting. So you can offer the most incredible free gifts ever, but also make sure that it's attracting to your target audience. Because then you're just going to get a bunch of low intent, low quality leads that opt in and just mess you up and just distract you and make you go down rabbit holes. Now, another thing I want you to think of mind as you're creating your MIFGE, don't make something sound too good to be true, right? So it's funny because I used the lottery example, right, which most people would be, might think that's too good to be true. But again, when it comes to the lottery, people do it anyway, so they probably would just sign up because people are paying for scratch offs. Like, it's insane. But let's say you are walking down the street. Let me use this example. Let's say you're walking down the street and you see a stranger, and that stranger is giving away a free $100 bill. But all you have to do is give them the password to your phone and let them log in, right? And of course, in front of you, right? Would you take them up on that offer or not? Most people would say probably not. Why am I giving a stranger my phone and access to it and my password, right? You can just keep the $100 bill, especially if the person, let's say, was on the other side of the street, right? You would not pay them any mind, right? And $100 bills, again, that could buy you some lunch. That could fill up your gas tank, right? So that's decent money. And all you have to do is just give them your phone. Nothing too crazy. You're not going that much out of your way. It'll take 2 minutes. Most people will still say no, right? Because they don't know this guy is some random stranger. Why would I give them? Now, let's continue this example. Let's say as you're walking down the street, you're about to go cross, and let's say you accidentally get hit by a car, right? You get hit by a car, you broke your leg, you're laying on the floor. The same stranger comes up to you and say, hey, let me log into your phone. Give me the password so I can go call the cops, right? Now, all of a sudden, you'd be a lot more likely to give that stranger your phone. Why? Because you're in great pain. You just got hit by a car, your leg is broken, you're probably panicking, you don't know what's going on, probably have adrenaline shooting through the roof, and the same guy comes up to you, the same guy you avoided just 2 seconds earlier, right? And then you give him your password so he can call the ambulance and save you. So, why do I use this example? I use this example because if you're going to be marketing to cold traffic to strangers who don't know you, like you, and trust you, it's going to be a lot more believable if you market to a pain point that they're currently experiencing. If they don't have a pain point, it's going to be very hard to convince them to take you up on your offer, even if it's the most incredible free gift ever. Right? I'll give you another example. Right now, I'm in pretty decent shape. Now, I'm not in the best shape of my life, but if someone were to be like, hey, John, right, I want to help you lose 15 pounds in the next 30 days or the next 60 days and get you in the best shape of your life, right? And they came up to me and like, hey, John, I want to give you in the best shape of your life. And then someone else were to come to me and say, hey, John, I want to help you get 100 highly qualified book-to-calls in the next 30 days. I'm probably going to entertain the conversation of the guy who's getting me the highly booked calls, because right now in my business, one thing that I'm struggling with is getting leads consistently, right? I'll have large influxes where I'll get like hundreds of people at one time, usually after like speaking engagements, but like, again, on the regular, it's like inconsistent a little bit. So I have a pain point there, if I'm being totally honest and transparent. If someone were to come to me, and yes, I could be in better shape, but I don't really have a pain point right now. My health isn't, getting in my way of anything right now. So although the guy who's offering me to help me get, lose 15 pounds, that is a good offer, I don't have enough pain to really pay attention to anything he's not saying. So now he's gonna have to convince me, like, oh, John, like, you should really take me up on this, John. Like, I know you've been feeling a little out of it, which is true. And John, I know you've been feeling a little sore and a little tight. You're not as mobile as you used to be, which is also true. And now he's gonna have to go and through this whole kind of like sales process to try to get me to just say yes. Versus the other guy, hey, you got me 100 book calls. Let's do it. Let's run it up right now. Like, I have that pain point, and I don't need to know who the person is. They have a solution for it. I'll be likely to entertain that conversation. So when you're trying to create your most incredible free gift ever, make sure it's a solution to a pain point that your target audience has, or else you're going to be sitting there trying to convince them to take you up on the free gift, even though it's already free. You don't want to do that. You just want people to say, yes, hey, I'm struggling with XYZ. You got the solution. Boom. So another thing, too, as we bring this to a close, another thing I want to mention is when you create your most incredible free gift ever, also think about, like, how can I make this like somewhat curiosity invoking, right? So if you're not going to speak to a pain point, like, or you could speak to a pain point and add curiosity, but like if you're not going to speak to a pain point, the other thing you could do is make it like super curiosity invoking, like make someone like turn their heads like a purple cow. Right, you ever heard the purple cow analogy? Like, most cows look, for the most part, pretty similar. But if you're driving down the highway and you see a purple cow, you might break your neck once or twice to make sure you just saw what you really just saw. And so how could you create something that's kind of like that purple cow effect? something that's so like strange or so unheard of or so rare that when people hear what you have to offer, they can't help but like, double back and be like, yo, you're offering what? Right? Because if you have their attention, well, then you could then present them with what it is what you do. So one of them is focusing on pain, right? If someone has pain and you provide a solution, it's gonna be a lot more likely for them to take you up on that offer. Again, also remember too, like people are primarily moving away from pain instead of running towards pleasure. So, right, use pain accordingly, or use curiosity, right, and just make it sound so unheard of that people are just like, I gotta figure out more of what that is, right? Create that curiosity gap, right, or create that open loop, like people say. And so, or you could do both, right? Highlight the pain and also use curiosity. So you got a solution, but it's a rare solution to a problem that they know they have. And so now they're double interested because, right, you have the solution and it's something they never heard of. Now you got even more attention, which is what you really want. So I know we talked about a lot, and I don't want to keep on rambling. If you're not getting leads from social media, it's most likely because you're not using a lead magnet. Now, when you're using a lead magnet, don't make an offer for immediate response. Make the most incredible free gift ever. And make it based off someone's pain points or based off someone's what would be curiosity invoking for them. And then from there, that is gonna help you start converting more people from social media. So when you have a video, when you make a post, when you make a carousel, it's like, hey, I have XYZ. If you want it, comment blah, or if you want it, DM me the word blah. If you want it, make sure to reach out to me, right? But now you have something to offer. Don't just make content for the sake of making content and hope that people reach out. Make content with intentionality and give them the next step. Now, I can't help but talk about lead magnets and not offer mine, right? I made a free social media diagnostics. Take literally 5 minutes. It's going to show you why your content isn't converting into clients, why it's not attracting more buyers and sellers. And it's going to give you a personalized roadmap for how to fix it. So if social media is on your priority list this year and you're tired of not getting the results you want, this quick guide is going to help reveal, right? Because awareness is power. What are some of the blockages that are in your way that you might not be thinking of? And it's going to give you a personalized plan, not some templated crap that everyone gets the same answer. No, it's going to give you personalized plans based on what you're currently struggling with. All you have to do is go in the description below, make sure to click it. And that being said, next week I'm going to be making a video on how to actually create your lead magnet. So click here to watch it.